Hey guys, I'm Amanda from lifewithaprons.com, and today I want to show you an easy hummus recipe that is absolutely delicious. So join me. My husband and I lived in the Middle East for a couple of years. In fact, our first daughter, was born there. And one of the things that we absolutely loved was the food. Not to mention the people, the hospitality, everything was amazing. But the food was so good, especially the hummus. And today we're going to learn how to make that Middle Eastern hummus in our own kitchens. And it's not as hard as you think. It's only a couple of ingredients, blend it in the blender, and then you're ready to go. Not to mention, it is a healthy snack. I don't know about you, but sometimes I have trouble stomaching some of my vegetables, and the hummus really helps because I can just dip those carrots into the hummus and eat. And not only am I getting a good, delicious, nutrients-dense hummus in my body, but I'm also getting a nutrients-dense carrot in my body. So it's a win-win all around. Let's get started. All right, the first thing you're going to do is grab a bowl, take your dried beans, and pour them into the bowl. We want to make sure that we soak the beans in water overnight so that they're ready to be cooked the next day. Pour the water over the beans and make sure there is enough to cover. You may have to add extra water as the beans soak up the water. The next thing you're going to add is a dash of apple cider vinegar, maybe a teaspoon to a tablespoon. The apple cider vinegar mixed with the soaking overnight really helps the body to be able to digest the beans. Now we're ready to strain the beans after they have soaked for 24 hours. Just grab a colander over a bowl, pour the soaked beans into the colander, be careful not to spill, and strain all the water off of the beans. Now we're ready to cook the beans. I love cooking dried beans in my Instapot. It makes it very simple and easy. When I cook it on the stove, I have to watch it. It takes several hours, and it's just a bit more time consuming. With my Instapot, I plug it in, I can pour my beans into the pot, push the setting, and then I can walk away and not have to worry about checking on it. So we're going to take those soaked, strained beans, and we're going to pour them into the Instapot. And then we're going to get water and pour that over the beans. You want to make sure that you have enough water to cover about 1 to 2 inches above the beans. That way, while they're cooking, you're not worried about the beans rising above the water. All right, that's pretty much it. Just pop the lid on it and hit that bean setting. It'll take about 35 minutes and you're ready to go. All right, my beans are cooked. I have got my pot full of garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call them, and I've kept them in the liquid because I don't like to just drain the liquid off and then pour the beans into the blender. The reason for that is the blender's going to have trouble blending it up because it's too dry. And secondly, you want to save some of that liquid to give a little more flavor as well as to make it a smoother blend in your Vitamix. Now, let's talk about blending. You could use a food processor. I have tried that. However, it still leaves some lumps and doesn't quite get it as smooth as the Vitamix or a blender. And so that's what I prefer to use. Once I finish blending the beans in the Vitamix, then I just switch to an immersion blender, and I'll show you that in just a minute. The Vitamix tends to have trouble with the rest of the ingredients, and it feels like you constantly have to take off the lid, put something in there to try to unclog it, put the lid back on, start it up again, and it's just a little more time consuming. We are going to start the recipe by adding in 3 cups of garbanzo beans that have been cooked. All right? So what I do is I just dip it right into the liquid and the beans, and then I get a little bit of liquid mixed in with my beans. Not too much, but just enough so that the Vitamix doesn't have trouble when it goes to blend it. If there's a little too much in there, I just strain it off. That's 2, and then we have 1 more cup. All right, there we go. Okay. This recipe calls for 3 cups, but you can double, triple, quadruple, whatever you like on the recipe. However, I would say for the Vitamix, I would do 3 cups in the Vitamix. If you do more than that, it has a hard time blending it together. That looks pretty good. Everything is blended. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put it into a bowl that I can use my immersion blender with, and then I'll pour all the other ingredients in there. Okay, here we go. We are ready to add all of our ingredients. I'm going to start with the olive oil. I buy my olive oil in bulk. That is why it is such a large container. So we are going to add a 1/2 cup of olive oil to the bowl. Okay, the next thing we are going to add is lemon juice. You really want to get organic lemon juice if you can. You can use fresh lemons or you can use a bottled lemon juice. This is 1/4 a cup of lemon juice. Now, if you like a little more lemon in yours, you can add a little bit more. It's really up to you. You can tailor this recipe to your own taste. We're going to add sesame tahini. We are going to add 3/4 of a cup of sesame tahini. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. When you open the jar, you want to stir it because the oil will want to rise to the top. And you want to give it a good stir so that everything is mixed in before you put it into the bowl, and that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to pour it to about 3/4 of a cup. There we go. Throw that in the bowl. And then we are going to add our seasonings. You want to add 2 cloves of garlic. I've already got the garlic chopped up here. Just throw that in there. Again, if you like a little more of a garlic flavor, add a 1/3 clove. That's fine. 1 teaspoon of cumin. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, that's all the ingredients. I'm going to take my immersion blender and I'm just going to mix it up, and then we're pretty much done. It's not that hard. I like to make it in bulk, and then I stick it in mason jars and freeze it and pull them out as needed. That way I'm not constantly making hummus. If I make it in a big batch and I freeze it, we can use it as needed, and I don't have to feel the pressure of constantly making it. And my family loves hummus, particularly one of my children loves hummus, and so I like to keep it as often as possible because it's a great protein for him to eat with. All right, my hummus is nice and creamy, as you can see. There are no lumps in it, and that's really what you want. Now, I want to take a moment to show you the way that I serve the hummus. When we lived in the Middle East, they would serve it in such a beautiful way, and I like to do that at home as well. It's not that hard. Just get a shallow bowl or a plate, and you're going to scoop out the hummus into the bowl or plate. And then we're going to create like a well around the outer part of the hummus with the spoon. And in that well, we are going to pour our olive oil. I have a little bit of olive oil in a cup because I didn't want to have to use the gigantic gallon-sized olive oil container. So I'm just going to pour that all in the well. And lastly, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of paprika over the top to give it a little bit of color. And that is all there is to it. You have a beautiful plate of hummus that looks amazing. It's delicious, it's nutrients dense, and all the ingredients are in your kitchen. You know exactly what is going into that hummus. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you do. And if you want to learn more about how to live off the land, how to grow your own food, how to preserve your own food, and how to make recipes from scratch, that is what we're all about at lifewithaprons.com. We want to teach people how to become self-sufficient and know where their food comes from. It is time to take matters into our own hands and start controlling our own food. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, guys, give it a try. Yeah? Huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Good? Huh? Abraham?
Good. I love it.
I did not pay these children to say this.